that dude saw anything when those horses hit the back stretch. It was, remember that scene at the end of Casablanca where Humphrey Bogart walks into the fog with his buddy Louis, Claude Rains. They were walking to the fog at the airport. That's what this reminded me. If Pimlico was an airport yesterday, they would have shut it down. But Justify wins, and wins by just about a neck, maybe just about a neck. They said about a half a length, I think, was the final winning total. But Justify now has won the first two races in the Triple Crown Series and sets himself up for possibly a Triple Crown if he can go the distance in the Belmont. Our horse racing expert, a guy who has been wildly successful in training and producing and nurturing big-time winners, and is the Duke of the backstretch in all places, not the least of which is Turfway Park and Belterra, is our buddy Jeff Greenhill, who joins us now to talk about whether or not there is yet another Triple Crown in the future for all of us. And we welcome Jeff Greenhill back to the show. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Ken. I'm good.
Okay, so you picked Justify, I believe, to win the Derby. You picked Justify to win the Preakness. Yesterday's race was a mess, so we know this horse can run in a mess. We know he can run on a reasonably decent track. This horse looked like it was running out of steam towards the end of the race yesterday. Do you think that was because he did not have a lot of races on his resume, or do you think that had something to do with the conditions of the track?
Actually, I think it had to do with he never got a break. Good Magic hooked him from the go and went every step with him to the 8th pole, and then here came 10 pole from the 8th pole to the 16th pole, and he put him away, and then here came Bravazzo from the 16th pole to the wire. So usually if you can get a horse out on the lead, the jockeys will say they'll give him a breather. He never got a breather.
So he
had to run.
Yeah.
He had to run a mile and 3/16, and he had to run every jump.
So does that then prepare him better for the Belmont, which is the longest of the three? And I'm sure there are other trainers out there that were watching this yesterday. My guess is Bravazzo goes to Belmont. My guess is Good Magic goes to Belmont. And I would think you'll probably getting horses coming out of the proverbial woodwork now, because this is the longest of the three, and there are horses in New York that know Belmont better than any other track. Do you think this increases the odds of him drawing stiffer competition for the Belmont Stakes?
Man, you know a lot more about horse racing than you let on.
I don't know a damn thing about it, man. All you got to do is look at the tickets at the end of the day. I don't know anything about it.
Number one, Good Magic is not going. Bradcock says that he's not going. But Bravazzo will be there, and I thought as soon as the race was over, there are connections to racehorses who had ruled out the Belmont. They watched the Preakness, and they started making travel arrangements to get their horses to Belmont.
Yeah.
Because he looked like a horse that another 2.5 furlongs might be his undoing.
Yeah, that was my question. My initial question: was it the track? Was it the fact that Justify hasn't really run a lot of races to begin with? But you're saying that they were coming at him yesterday from all angles, and he couldn't catch a break. He's not going to catch a break at Belmont either. So where do you figure Bob Baffert is now, with 3 weeks to prepare for this with Mike Smith? How do you get that last gear out of a horse that looked like he couldn't find that last gear yesterday?
I would imagine that they are hoping, since Good Magic is not going, that going 1.5 miles, they'll get a much easier lead, and they'll be able to take breathers. They'll be able to coast and then kick on home.
Yeah.
That would be, if I was Bob Baffert, I would be saying, okay, we're going to go 1.5 miles, and Good Magic's not going to be there. Now, on the other hand, if I was Dwayne Lucas, I would enter another horse, what they call a rabbit, to keep him company up front, and then hope Bravazzo
do that, right? They will find something to either challenge the favorite at a beginning of a race, so one of their other horses can come back and catch him backstretch top of the turn, whatever it may be. So you know that kind of gamesmanship is going on right now. But again, if you're Baffert and you know that good magic isn't going to be there, what do you do with Justify? Does his training change in these final 3 weeks for either stamina or distance as opposed to sprint? How are they going to train this horse differently than what they trained it to get this far?
I don't know, but he really took it easy on him between the Derby and the Preakness, because he came out of the Derby with just a little bit of a problem, nothing serious, and now he's run five races in pretty quick succession. I'm not a Hall of Fame trainer, and Baffert's been here far more than me, but my tendency would to be not to drill the horse hard, because you're going to have to go a mile and a half, and he had to have got something out of the Preakness, so it would be kind of to nurse him into the Belmont.
Yeah, Jeff Greenhill is our guest. Greenhill Farms. He is our sage when it comes to horse racing. And by the way, the only difference between Bob Baffert and you is you don't wear sunglasses and you occasionally get your hair cut. I think that's the difference between you and Bob Baffert.
Yeah, and he made more money yesterday than I'll make this year.
But the fact of the matter is, this is the we've seen this before, have we not, Jeff? Where a horse will win a couple of races, and they'll win Preakness, they'll win the Kentucky Derby, and then it's the gamesmanship of Belmont, it's the New York horses, it's the longest of the three, and all of that. If you had a wager now, and I know you're not, we're still 3 weeks away from this race. Does Justify win the Triple Crown? If somebody had to ask you right now, does he win the Triple Crown, or does he get bitten by the Belmont curse, in your opinion?
If I had to bet an amount of money that would change my life, I would say, and I hate to do this because I am a huge fan of the horse,
sure,
but I think it's going to be awful tough for Justify to win the Triple Crown.
Okay, so you're saying not a repeat of American Pharaoh, at least in terms of achievement, and then watch. And if I was going to say
like a repeat of California Chrome.
California Chrome, but I'm just saying, just watch. I think it's fascinating. Even if you're just into horse racing for these 3 races and wondering if Justify can do, watch what other trainers do with other horses to try and just throw Justify off his game, because now he's got the big target. No question about that. Jeff Greenhill, it's always great having you on. You running horses anywhere today? And if you do, give us a hot tip.
I didn't. None today, but we won one Friday and we won one Saturday, so I had a good weekend. It wasn't a Preakness, but we've had a good weekend thus far. But today's an off day. 35th anniversary, wedding anniversary.
Today? Oh, congratulations. Yeah. Oh, Jeff, take her to the track. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, my friend. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, kid.
Jeff Greenhill.